Hello and welcome to EcoTimes Magazine podcast. I'm your host, Alex Strong. Today we have a special guest, Anna Lappé from realfoodmedia.org. They run a amazing kind of short film festival focusing around eco and food. So Anna, can you tell us more about what the amazing work you do and amazing films that you cover?
Sure. So for the past 12 years or so, I've been writing and teaching and talking about sustainability, and I've written a couple books and do a bunch of other media work in the United States. And a couple years ago, I got talking to some friends in the film world, and we sprouted this idea about running a short films contest, calling for entries on films about food and sustainability. And our call for entries requires all films are under 4 minutes. So we're talking about really bite-sized films. And I started talking with friends both in the film world and the food world here in the States, people like Alice Waters from Chez Panisse Restaurant, and folks like the head of the Sundance Institute, and a whole range of different folks, and thought, what would we get if we put out a call for entries for these short films on food? Would we get any submissions, and what would the quality be, and what would the stories we'd hear? And we had a hunch that we would hear some great stories, and we were thrilled. With our first year, we received 156 short films from all across the country and actually around the world.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yes.
And can you kind of give an overview of the different types of films that you kind of got submitted, and can you pick out some ones that were really interesting and that really kind of were unique?
Yeah. So of the 156 films, we were thrilled that they covered such an incredible range. We had everything from a short film by teenage girls in Los Angeles, California, who tried to go shopping at their local grocery store and compared it to going shopping at a fancy Whole Foods in a much wealthier neighborhood. And as these young kids described in their film, showed the difference between shopping in their low-income neighborhood and the astronomical prices of Whole Foods. And it was a great kid's eye perspective on food access in this country. So we got films like that too. We got this incredible film by award-winning filmmakers about organic farmers in rural Mexico. We were really thrilled by the range of these films, and I was a little bit afraid when I started the contest that we would just get a bunch of vanity films about hipsters in Brooklyn making artisanal mayonnaise. We were glad that we got the diversity of the films. To me, really speaks to the diversity of people around the country that are trying to fix a really broken food system. And our favorites are all visible on our website at realfoodmedia.org under the Films tab. You can see the 10 winning films. So we had a fabulous cast of judges who watched a selection of the submissions and then chose these top 10 films and chose the winning film, which is the film Homeward from our fabulous filmmaking team in the Midwest, but about farmers in Mexico.
Oh, great. And was that the organic kind of farm in Mexico?
Yeah, so it's this really beautiful story. Again, it's amazing what you can do in 4 minutes. It's a beautiful story about a farming collective in Mexico that came together as a community of farmers to grow organic oregano and to export it and to sell to some local markets. But in this short film, you see that when these farmers come together and are themselves able to determine the price that they're getting for the oregano and able to have direct access to markets and not have to sell to middlemen, that actually this community of farmers is doing great. They're thriving. They're doing really well compared to many farmers in Mexico that have just been devastated by imports of U.S. Corn, for instance, into Mexico. This farming collective shows that you can really make a living when you have power in your own hands.
That's amazing. And this other green Bronx machine looks good.
Yes, so that's, I mean, I was going to say that's another one of my favorites, but actually they're all my favorites. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, so the Green Bronx Machine, it's a really sweet story about a teacher and gardener in the South Bronx, which for those listeners and viewers who don't know it, it's a really low income community in New York City. It's been really devastated by decades of urban policy that's put a lot of like the most polluting factories there and incinerators, and just really not put resources into the community, and instead really extracted resources out. So it's got all kinds of higher rates of asthma and diabetes and other diet related illnesses, just a community that's really struggling. And this teacher has just created an amazing project working with high schoolers in this neighborhood to grow their own food on their own campus. And in this short film, you see how growing food has not only brought good, healthy food directly into the bodies of these kids, but it's really been transformative for the young people involved. They've learned incredible skills. They've learned a sense of agency. They've learned, how to grow their own food, and they're really taking that learning and bringing it to their fellow students and bringing it into their community. So another really uplifting story.
That's amazing. And in terms of, so any kind of budding film directors or cameramen out there, they can kind of submit their film to you guys when is your next
So the contest is running right now. We have an early bird deadline of December 15th. And then the actual deadline, again, all of it can be found at realfoodmedia.org. The actual deadline is January 5th. The submissions are due January 5th. And yes, the contest, you can see on the site, it's open to anyone, anywhere. We are offering cash prizes, $5,000 for the winning film. For us, there's cash prizes, which of course, who doesn't like winning cash prize? But our real inspiration for doing the contest is to get these stories in front of audiences around the world. So we have partnerships with distributors for film festivals and for online distribution. And then we also run our own pop-up film festivals. So for the 10 winning films, we have partnerships around the world where local groups are hosting their own festivals of the 10 winning films. We've had pop-up festivals in everywhere from a farm in the middle of the United States where the farmer put up a huge screen in the middle of their farm and hosted a couple hundred people, to a pop-up festival in Romania, Australia, New Zealand, many places around the US. So, and anybody can host a festival. You don't have to obviously be a filmmaker. You just have to be somebody who wants to throw a fun party or throw a fun event, and the films can be a great way to do that.
That sounds amazing. And preferably with mix of eco, it's a kind of win-win. So in terms of what are one of the big advantages of say the kind of film and cameramen and kind of directors out there making a short film? Is it a good kind of stepping stone to make a kind of longer feature? Is it to get recognised? What are the kind of advantages of starting off small and kind of getting your name?
Well, there are several. I mean, I sort of see three big advantages. One, for a lot of our filmmakers, it's an opportunity in a way to workshop material that they're working on for a longer film. To make we are totally happy to get films that are made from footage that's being used for a longer form film, for instance. So one way we've seen the contest be used is filmmakers that have content that either is on the cutting room floor from a feature film or is a feature film in process. The average documentary takes 7 years to make. So our short films contest offers that opportunity. The second thing is definitely it puts you in front of audiences that you otherwise wouldn't reach, and it also puts you in front of judges who you might be interested in exposing your work to. We have a nice mix of a balance of judges of folks from the film world, so celebrity chefs like Tom Colicchio and other kind of foodie celebrities like Pat Lakshmi, but we also have people from the film world, so filmmakers like Byron Hurt, film reviewers like Thelma Adams, and the head of the USC Film Center, Johanna Blakely. So we have a nice mix of the film and food world, and then the third thing is, for some filmmakers, they want to work in the short form. I think there's a lot of poetry in the shortness, and so for some filmmakers, this is the medium that they want to work in. They don't have they want to tell a short story. They're not trying to tell a 2-hour story, and there's very, very few platforms that really cater to that shorter form the way ours does.
I would like to thank our sponsor this week, which is EcoTimes Magazine. They cover everything green. Magazine is on the iPad and iPhone. They cover eco-travel, amazing eco-travel resorts, organic recipes, so amazing recipes to cook, eco-gadgets, what's the latest gadgets in eco, amazing eco-transport, so battery-powered bikes, hybrid cars, battery-powered cars, renewable energy, what's the latest in renewable energy, in terms of all the different innovative ways we can get energy. Eco how-to, so for example, how to build your own solar panel or own house or something along those lines. They cover eco architecture, so like eco building. They cover tiny houses, which are amazing small houses on wheels, which you should definitely check out if you haven't seen them. They cover all eco news, so what's been going on in the week, and organic food growing techniques. Anything green really, and it's a weekly magazine, and it's on the iPad and iPhone or iTunes. So the link is below, so please enjoy. And now we get back to the show. Thank you very much. I think it's amazing, and so what's kind of, have you got any kind of future plans of taking it even bigger, like Sundance level? I mean, I think you should, Anna. I think this is definitely, because it's such a relevant topic of kind of getting the word out there of, what is going wrong, well, what's going on in our worlds, and what's, what can we do to, say fix if things are going wrong, and just kind of expose, all the different elements to kind of the eco subject. And it just seems, I think it's great. I'm very impressed, Anna.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. So what is our future plans besides world domination?
World film domination.
Exactly. So we're really in the business of incubating creative communications ideas, not in the business of running huge festivals. But one of our ideas is to establish and deepen our relationships with festivals that are out there that are doing really great work. And so some of our media partners are already, those festivals. And so into 2015, we're looking to connect with even more festivals and to provide content to those festivals. The second thing we're doing is we're so impressed by the contributions that we got in 2014 that we created an online film library. So if you go to the website for the contest, you can also find our film library. We have 30 films up there right now. We're going to be adding hopefully another couple dozen in 2015. And the idea are they're a library of films that are Creative Commons, which means that they're licensed to be used for non-commercial use anywhere in the world by anyone. So they're great to be used in courses or in events or in festivals, at parties. And we have them categorized by a range of different types of issues. And so, if you want to get inspired about food heroes, you can go check out those films. If you are working in a city and you want to transform your foodscape in a city, you can check out the urban stories. So they're organized in ways that I think are really useful for people. And so our vision is to just keep building out this library of short films. And then in 2015, we'll be adding other resources to the site. We'll have a resource of our kind of favorite long-form documentaries on food, farming, and sustainability for people that want to put together a festival of longer-form films, and doing a bunch of other media projects with partners.
Do you know? I tell you what, Anna. Do you know what would be amazing? Because we're working on an EcoTimes TV show at the moment. But do you know what? Like for coming from like the media industry as well, it'd be amazing to be able to say submit a short film or even say a longer kind of film, documentary style, whatever. But you know, because you've grown your amazing contest so that you've got the say connections with Amazon and say Netflix, so that they kind of, you know, have an eco element within, you know, to kind of distribute, because it'd be amazing to be able to, you know, for all those amazing filmmakers out there to make something so impactful and helpful, you know, for a world. And then, you know, obviously you've got great relationships with, you know, say the kind of big players to be able to, you know, give a message out there even further. I just
yeah, I mean, that's definitely, that's ideas for 2015, certainly thinking about how to spread our distribution, make sure that the best of our submissions are really getting out there. Of course, before doing that, you know, we're full throttle right now in making sure that the call for entries is heard by as many filmmakers as possible, because the contest and, you know, the impact of our work is only as strong as the entries are good. So hopefully we'll get another really strong batch this year.
That's amazing. Well, definitely anyone who's listened to this podcast and is a budding filmmaker and wants to make anything eco and kind of environment friendly, you know where to submit your new film, realfoodmedia.org.
Exactly.
So any other kind of like things in terms of what was kind of the most unusual entry in terms of film, Anna?
The most unusual entry, you know, one of the ones that I think most people, a lot of them I think are eye-opening for people, are on issues they've never thought of before. But one of the ones in that category is one of the winners from 2014 called "Who Keeps the Beekeepers?" And you know, a lot of us have heard about the fact that bees are kind of an essential part of the food chain. About 1 out of every 3 bites of food that we take, we can thank a pollinator for helping us have access to. And so a lot of us are really aware that there's this crisis of colony collapse disorder, of bees disappearing around the world, and a lot of fingers pointing to chemicals used in agriculture that's really been impactful on bees. But there isn't as much of a conversation, I think, of very little awareness that there's this dying breed of beekeepers, the people who are caring for bees, and especially the commercial beekeepers who are responsible for bringing bees to commercial farms. A lot of farms, especially in the US, have gotten so big that the natural occurring bee population is just simply not big enough to pollinate them. And so you have these kind of itinerant beekeepers that are traveling around the country with bees to bring the bees to farms to pollinate them. So our almond crop, for instance, in the state of California, we supply about 80% of the world's almonds come from California alone. And those almond farmers rely on bees, and those bees rely on beekeepers to bring them to the farm. And it was just this fascinating story about a piece of the puzzle about food that I think no one that I have ever shown the film to has ever really pondered much about. So that's, I think, one of those underreported stories we hope to hear more of next year.
That is truly unique. You never think about it, really.
You don't think about it. Yeah.
No, that's pretty impressive. Are you seeing a kind of trend in kind of people growing their own organic food? Because I think it's a great thing to do if, you know, one has access to land. I'm just wondering whether you've noticed it within your films and stuff.
Oh, I mean, absolutely. You'll see in the winning films, a few of them talk about the work of people bringing back, the Green Bronx Machine, we already talked about, people bringing back growing food into their own communities. Our Land is a beautiful film about the emergence of urban agriculture in Philadelphia, a kind of classic post-industrial American city that has a lot of empty urban lots, and people are reclaiming those lots and growing food on them. Yeah, I mean, all around the country in the U.S., and I certainly feel like this is a trend that's a global trend. There's been this resurgence of community gardening and urban farming and not that long ago in the United States during World War II, about 40 or 50% of all of the vegetables consumed in this country were coming from people's kitchen gardens, were coming from urban gardens, community gardens. Yeah. So the potential for the urban growers to actually, really grow substantial a substantial amount of food is there, and we're certainly seeing it blossom around the country. Near my old apartment in Brooklyn, New York, there's a thriving organic farm that's a couple acres big. I mean, it's happening in every city, certainly that I've visited in the country. We talk about it. A couple of the films in the contest showcase it as well.
That's amazing. I was just wondering, one gentleman, a gentleman called Will Allen. I don't know if you've come across him.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, he's an aquaponic expert. So with the fish and the vegetable growing, and such an impressive setup. And he's done so much for, I think it's Milwaukee.
Milwaukee, but now going global. So I was just at a conference in Istanbul, Turkey, and he was one of the people from the States, along with me and some other colleagues who were speaking to the audience there. And he had the most amazing, the word amazing doesn't often get connected to the word PowerPoint presentation, but yeah. He had the most amazing PowerPoint where he showed something like 500 images from his operation in Milwaukee, but now it's really going global. He's really kind of spreading the gospel around the world about how to create a really, really successful, really productive urban farm. And it's not just aquaponics, which is, of course, growing fish sustainably, but he has an incredible amount of food production. And so Growing Power is the name of his organization in Milwaukee and Chicago. And again, now he showed that he was really spreading this around the world. He works in parts of Africa, and he was just come back from Eastern Europe. But anybody who's interested in seeing a very scaled up, huge model of what you can grow in a city, I would highly recommend checking out Growing Power. And Will Allen is it's totally amazing, inspiring. Yeah, he's wonderful.
We need to get him on the show, Anna.
He's great.
Yeah, definitely. I'm kind of envious that I missed out on this conference. I have to keep my ear to the ground more often. Do you know whether he's coming to the UK anytime soon?
I don't know. You'd have to go. Growing Power is his organization and has a great website. I'm sure it lists all his activities.
Yeah, definitely. Great stuff. Is there any movies or anything that we haven't discussed that you think should get mentioned, or that you would like to mention?
Yeah, I mean, what I love about our films, like I said, is they cover so many different issues. And when you think about food and the environment, the food chain itself is vast. I mean, it goes from the story of farm workers in the field to the story of eaters in their homes consuming the food. And so I've loved that the films that we've gotten really, really do tell the full story of food. And if anyone, as you mentioned, anyone is interested, the contest is open for entries now until January. And then we have a really fun month-long voting period where we ask people around the world to vote for their favorite films of the 10 finalists. And so anybody anywhere can participate in that. And we just really encourage people to get connected.
That's amazing. And so best place to find you guys is realfoodmedia.org.
Yes, and all of our projects can be found at my website, annalappe.com, which is ANNALAPPE.com.
Well, thank you very much for coming on the show, Anna.
It's my pleasure.
It's been a real pleasure having you. And we're definitely going to try and get the word more out in terms of eco films, because, it's one of the best mediums to get the good messages out there, so we can make a difference.
Absolutely.
So we'll have to have you back on the show. And thank you again for coming on the show.
Sounds great. And hope to be on again soon.
Thank you very much for enjoying our EcoTimes Magazine podcast. We'd like to tell you all the platforms we're on. So we're on SoundCloud, We're on Stitcher, which is for Android. If you've got Android phone, you can download a Stitcher, which is a podcast app, and get the EcoTimes podcast on there. We're on iTunes, so you can get it on your iPhone and iPad and all your Apple devices. And we're on TuneIn as well. And we're on YouTube. So please subscribe to whichever platform works best for you. And thank you very much for listening. We want to say a big thank you very much to EcoTimes Magazine for sponsoring the podcast. They are a weekly magazine, cover everything green. So if you're interested in growing your own food, renewable energy, amazing eco resorts, eco gadgets, basically anything green, how to build your own home, tiny houses, eco transport, organic food, anything green really. Big thank you to them. And please check them out. The links be below, and it's on the Apple newsstand, so you'll be able to get it on your iPad and iPhone. Thank you and have a great day.